And we're live. Hello and welcome
Hey.
to the 66th episode of HexTherapy.live. I'm your host, Maddie ALLin, with special guests Toby-Wan Hexobi and Timothy Benjamin. Welcome.
Hey,
Actually,
what's up?
He's Toby. I'm Tim.
That way, right?
Yeah.
Super cool to be here with Maddie and Tim live and in the flesh down here to enjoy the Daytona 500, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sans
JJ Ely, God bless him. He gave it a hell of a shot and that car looked amazing. So, but you want to tell them your plans for tomorrow? Or not tomorrow, Sunday?
So we have the Hex DeLorean here, and I drove 24 hours in a hellish storm, surviving it with so much adrenaline that I haven't slept. I'm hanging out with these awesome guys, and we've been having really awesome conversations.
Yes.
I wasn't able to do the normal episode of Hex Therapy Live last night, but it's been 66 weeks in a row, so I had to fit the episode in. And I'm really excited to have you both here just to do a quick stream to maybe, bring up some of the topics that we've been talking about, just to preview them for people and to get it on record, even though I haven't slept. And but it's really exciting to be in the presence of awesome Hexicans who have the same kind of ethics and are aligned in thinking about the ecosystem as something that can be a positive sum game. But other than that, what do you guys want to say?
Well, to reiterate what Maddie said, we've had a wonderful discussion this evening before going live, talking about sudden wealth syndrome and some of the symptoms of that and how they could present a positive influence on a community versus a negative influence on a community. And one of the things that we were considering about going live about is hopefully taking some time to talk about some of the things that we could do to take on a leadership role to help resolve some negative things and help introduce some positive things to bring overall growth and prosperity to the Hex community. So I'm privileged to be able to share this episode with Maddie. It's first time, being in the same place at the same time online.
Yeah.
So welcome to whoever takes the time to view this.
And hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks for being here. I think that the audience that's interested in Hex Therapy, is the subset of the community that really is looking to be growth oriented and to work on self-improvement, which fits in with Hex in terms of delaying gratification. And I think in general, when we're time locking our money and paying our future selves, we're not just doing it because we watched Back to the Future or because we're, doing what we're told in Hex. It's really that you have personal benefits that in all honesty, it's a mixed bag becoming suddenly wealthy. And that's something it's hard to explain or wrap your head around until it happens. But then sometimes it's a little bit too late to grasp all the nuances. And so, like you said, I think it's really important. Part of ethics in general is having discussions and asking the right questions. And so when we look at the entire crypto space, I think in general, we have this existential threat that we don't want to become the people that we're trying to replace.
Yes.
As broadcasters, as people who want to build things in crypto, being competitive and innovative and keeping ourselves productive, right? Having our place in our social ecosystem. These are all things that are highly rewarding and important for people. But we also, as people who are fortunate to be in leadership roles, and wanting to, just kind of teach what we've learned from our experiences, I think it's something that's valuable, and it's kind of part of the theme of Hex Therapy, I hope.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm excited to be on a more full-fledged episode of Hex Therapy at some point in the future. I know Maddie and I had talked about that long ago, and just it never quite synced up. But yeah, I mean, just to add to what he's getting at there, I think just like everybody is an individual, every hexagon, every 369 hexagon is got unique needs and unique dilemmas that they're going to have to deal with financially or personally. And, what I've always found really gratifying about being part of this community is it's not just about T-shares and hex and math, which is super fun. And I love it. And, I definitely can go down some math rabbit holes with the best of them. But there's opportunity here for growth on another level. And I think I actually replied to, I can't remember who tweeted it, but they were asking like what you were looking forward to going, into the future. And I said, less stress and more self-actualization, And I think that that's something that, we all could do together, and that, there's going to be rifts in the community, just like there are in families. And that's part of that growth because, everyone's kind of determining, what they need for their individual families and their individual needs. And, that doesn't have to be a lonely journey. And there needs to be multiple options on how to approach those things, whether it's mental health or financial planning or how we're dealing with tax strategies or how we're dealing with staking ladders or all the things that have kind of been discussed in piecemeal, kind of from crypto gov to various streams with Maddie and others, over the course of the last couple of years. So it'd be nice to try to consolidate all those things into kind of a more uniform place to work together for solutions for those that feel like they kind of vibe with, what we're offering.
I think that the title of the episode here is called Sudden Daytona Syndrome. And that's because the community reached, I think, a growing point today where, we got feedback from somebody that I think we all regard as like super knowledgeable and, genius level, Richard Hart, the founder of Hex. He's not the head of any company that we're a part of. This is a true DeFi ecosystem. It's, like Steph from Staker App said at the Hex conference this past January, that Hex is a really interesting implementation of a decentralized autonomous organization. And I think that comes with certain growing pains, just like any new skill does. Our community is learning how to be effective at marketing.
Yes.
And, enjoying gains in a way that has the intention of being productive for others. So I always thought it was exciting to do the Daytona thing because, because so many people are into it, and it's an awesome opportunity for us to spread the word of Hex and to celebrate our community together
and to get together in person. That's right. That's what's super fun. It's like I've been fortunate to meet Maddie a couple of times. I met Tim in Vegas. Yes. So it's really nice to kind of put a face to the names and the avatars and like actually, you get so much more done in person than you could possibly do on, a limited medium like Twitter or even in YouTube streams, where you're one of the family squares, right?
Yeah.
To actually be face to face is really been a blessing. And I've really enjoyed the conversation we had leading up to this. And, as a kind of a case in point with the Daytona thing, I think it's really interesting because of the drama of it all. It was really exciting, what Motley and those guys put together to, get JJ Ely on board and get the community rallying around this and people like myself to book a ticket to come down to see the race. I'm not a NASCAR fan per se, not a racing fan. I've been to a couple of open wheel races and they're super fun, but it just was never really, on my radar. But it's like, it compelled me to book a flight and get a room and come down here and spend some time with some fellow hexagons. And then just like real life, the drama of life didn't play out exactly as we had hoped. And, any of us could have canceled our trip to come on down, but we came down anyhow. So yeah, JJ didn't make the race. And, just like sometimes, the things that you want to have happen in your life a particular way don't work out. But, that's part of the ups and downs of the roller coaster of life. And it's like, and you couldn't ask for better drama for the documentary, right? Because it's like, if he had just gone on and won Daytona, it would just be too, cookie cutter. But this way, he's got an opportunity to go to Vegas during the Hex convention, is what my understanding is. It's that same weekend, right?
It's the 6th.
It's the 6th.
Yeah, there are all these things that could align, and still, the people who are kind of in charge of this, marketing attempt, but it's also more than that. I think it's more than just marketing. It's and maybe Tim can speak to the enjoyment.
He got to be on pit road and like it was on TV, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I've never been to a NASCAR race before, and I arrived here yesterday, and just systematically I went from arriving to talking to Nardo, who talked to Motley, who talked to the guy who arranged all this, to getting me pit access, which was reserved for people who actually paid a substantial amount of money to sponsor the car, which I didn't do because I didn't have my MetaMask wallet with me when this all went down. It's like it all happened so quick. But, I arrived, and just because of the relationships that I have with people in the Hex community, I have full pit access, personal time with the driver, personal time with the promoter. And, I know where I come from. I know people who've been fans of NASCAR all their life. They've never had this kind of access before that I've been gifted because of my relationships with the Hex community. And this is something that we talked about before going on stream this evening, was the importance of building those kinds of relationships and the benefits that could come as a result of that, and the tragedies that can come when people lose sight of that privilege and allow differences to erupt into drama. And when we have conversations in person, how easier it is to get resolution than it is to try and hash these things out online. That is a horrible medium compared to just talking face to face. And, even with the lesson that we learned today about the potential futility of brand marketing, even though brand marketing may not be the best form of marketing, there's things that have happened over the course of this weekend so far that would not have happened had we not come together here, not gone through this experience that is really just, invaluable. So,
and for example, we're having really deep discussions about ethics in the community, about leadership, about where we're going to get the best ROI,
yes,
not only in onboarding, but also in quality of life, yes, and building community. There are going to be, this is an example of something. I'm not here for the race. User unaffected by Yeely not qualified, right?
Yes.
I came here for you guys, and it continues to impress me when I get together with Hexicans. Speaking to somebody who left a comment here in the chat, I can probably confirm at this time that there is not going to be a conflict between the Hex conference and any racing event. And so anybody who, is planning, we have, this is going to be the largest gathering of Hexicans in the history of Hex here at Hexpo.Vegas. And it's going to be March 6th through 9th. If you don't have your ticket yet, it's Sunday through Wednesday. It's going to be 4 full days of conference from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. There's going to be like a coffee social / registration on the first day. And every day after that, the coffee will start at 9 and the talks will start at 10 and go until 6 p.m. We'll have the full schedule here now that everything's coming together. But this is, it's another example, I think, of how we can all kind of come together. And in the case of the Hex conference, it is, I went to probably too extreme of lengths to make sure we're getting the best deal possible. It's not necessarily like a marketing play. Of course, it's a conference for Hexicans by Hexicans, but I can't even imagine all of the innovation that will come out of the largest gathering of Hexicans of all time when we just see the synergy here, even between 3 or 4 of us.
Yep. And also to that point is, just how much I feel like we accomplished just in the last couple of hours talking face to face, and covered so much more ground. It's like, I've been friends with Maddie for almost 2 years now, probably. Yes. And, it's like, and Tim, probably since Big Payday or a little before, maybe, I think we first streamed together on Discourse Hangout, maybe.
I don't remember the specifics, exactly.
But it's in my diary.
I know you.
But what's kind of a case in point to all this, as far as the branding thing that you were talking about a moment ago, and I know Motley got taken to the woodshed a little bit earlier by Richard, and I feel like it was a loving thing. And that's Richard, man. It's like a big brother, just kind of giving you a firm redirect. And I was really happy to hear Molly actually come on the Twitter Spaces and talk with Richard about that, and Coffee chimed in, and I really felt like it ended on a good note, and that there were some good takeaways of that for everyone. But to not counter Richard's argument at all necessarily, but brand awareness is something that has come from this. And I've got an example of it, which is I flew in this morning. My Uber driver had never heard of Hex, but he was aware of it because of Daytona. So I ended up talking to him. He was in a number of other cryptos, and I was telling Joe earlier, I was talking to Joe, and I was actually able to onboard him in my half-an-hour drive, my Uber ride from the airport to where I'm staying. And he already had MetaMask. He was in a bunch of shit coins and some NFTs and some, well, maybe not shit coins to him, but he had been playing that game for a while. So he already had a MetaMask. I got him a staker link so you could get staker app. I got him links to pulsex.com, to Pulse, to Hex, and got him onboarded in that drive. And after we stopped the car and I gave him this tip, it's like we exchanged some information about following Richard Hart on Twitter and other things. So it's like maybe that never would have happened. So maybe it's only one guy from the expenditure, but there's probably a lot more like that maybe have been made aware of Hex for the first time, and it'll come up in conversation, and it's like, oh yeah, I saw that somewhere. So
I had a similar experience. On my way here, I stopped at a charging station in Texas, and some guy was there charging his car too. And he's like, what does it mean to buy Hex? Which says on my license plate. And turns out the guy already had MetaMask. He already had an account with a big exchange, an account with Coinbase. All I did was fill in the blanks for him. And he was like, wow, I can't wait. This is real. I'm like, yeah, go to pulsechain.com and you're going to get free copies of all your ERC20s. Just make sure they're in your MetaMask wallet, not on Coinbase. And he was like, wow, thanks. And it's like, basically onboarded someone while charging my car. And I would not have done that had I not made this trip here.
Yep.
And I'm proud of my failures and my incremental progress in getting to that level of onboarding where I can really, my goal is to beat the R naught of, any contagious disease, because that's how you get virality. It's the same maths as, virology and
well, it's like the network effect, right?
Yes,
effectively,
it is.
right? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And so if I can, if each person who's in Hex now can onboard 2 or 3 people, that becomes a exponential growth. And so, it's really exciting to be in person, to get feedback. And, I think when we're thinking about how to drive traffic, how to get clicks, we also, we do want to get more educated. We want to read SciVive to learn what Richard, the knowledge that he's communicated there. And the link to that is t.me/SciVive, SCIVIVE.
Right.
And people can download that and be impressed by 1,500 pages or something that Richard wrote. And use the Control F function to find the part about marketing. I can't wait to read that. I've, even cataloged in my mind all the things that Richard has taught me when it comes to branding, to the colors that you use, the words that you use. Don't use homonyms, homophones, whatever they are.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Cinnamon.
Yeah. I've learned from other members of the community, Hexologist, Joe Hexotic, Lots of people.
Papa B, with all his security knowledge. Yeah. So, I mean, it just seems to me like there's so much information. It can be almost overwhelming because it's like, we've all been in it for so long. It's like we've kind of learned as we've gone and been able to digest it. But for somebody new coming in, especially, it's like, where do you start? I mean, there's a million different videos out there now. We have so many, very, very good streamers that have great resources. But, to be able to maybe have a more concerted effort, and I think this is what we were talking about before stream, is to maybe have some resources available that are like concise and focused on, the things that really need to be the number one focus, which is onboarding and helping with things like direct marketing and different things that we can do to maybe facilitate that in a more concerted way. So, luckily I actually was able to have a discussion this afternoon when I had lunch, and that was another potential on board was my waitress, or she was a bartender. Actually, I wasn't drinking. I was just having lunch at the bar. Sure. And I had a drink on my birthday like 6 months ago, but it's like, I don't drink anymore. I did plenty when I was younger. Trust me, my liver is still recovering. But on my tip that I left her is that, it was only a $20 lunch, but I tipped her 100% tip. And then I wrote Hex.com. And then she was like, what's Hex.com? So I got to have a conversation with her about that and how, a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have imagined that I would be retiring this year. And, so I'm in the process of that now. We'll be fully retired in July. So, I'm going to have more opportunity to continue to help the community in various ways. And it's great to be able to talk to Maddie and Joe and Tim and Papa and other people to maybe get kind of a game plan together to put some resources together to help people, work toward, what Richard's trying to guide us toward, which is the most effective ways to use our resources, right? So our time and our money to help get, Hex to go viral and get more people into it, especially in my opinion, before institutions start coming in, because it's like nothing I love more than like some of my personal onboards that are already on the cusp of retiring and are 15, 20 years younger than I am. It's like, it makes me so happy to think that, they can do that. And to think of somebody else being able to get in, with Pulse and Hex and the opportunities that are coming up with Pulse Hex, to be able to do that before the institutions, maybe take a bunch of X's away from them, right? Because they come in with some big bags and all of a sudden it looks, because everyone thinks they've already missed the run, right? And it's like, I don't think that at all. I was talking to a guy last night about, how much farther do you think it'll go? And it's like, personally, I really think we have at least another 100 to 1,000 X in us over the next 2 years. It's like, because with Pulse and Pulse X and other projects that are out there, what's the better store of value? So whatever yield that you're making, whatever gain you're making in these other projects, it's like, eventually you're going to want to put it into some sort of store of value, right? So to me personally, it's like, I was buying Hex up till 10 days ago. So I've never sold it except for some trading I've done. And, as long as I've got resources available, I'll continue to buy it. And, and it's because there is no better asset out there as far as appreciation and, the income that you can earn from that to set yourself financially free. And then that, like Tim can attest, because he's beat me to the punch on the retirement game. And, he was sharing some stories about the great things that he's been able to experience by not being burdened with trading his time for money to live, and is really living in a way that he hasn't been able to before, like a ski trip and some other.
Sure.
Yep. So, but it's, I'm looking forward to that transition myself, to be a little less encumbered with work responsibilities and be able to, continue to try to give to the community, and, focus on the things that Maddie was outlining.
Would you ever consider like doing some sort of pledge to like say you're not going to trade for like a week or for like
I haven't traded
for a minute?
I haven't traded in a long time. It's probably the last trade I did, to be honest, was probably in December. So it's been a little bit, but that was kind of around a tax harvesting thing. So it kind of had a purpose beyond just degen trading. And
trading?
Yeah, right. But to be frank, it was to sell Hex at a point in my TA that made sense, because I thought it was going to come back down. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Definitely, I've done okay with that, but there's no trading that I've ever done in Hex or anywhere else that has beat my staking income. So, definitely it's been a good source of stability in my life to, not, scratch that itch of, trying to find the next exciting thing. And it can get a little boring. We were talking about that too, right?
I was just going to say that. Yeah. What's your guys' experience been with the boring side of being suddenly wealthy?
Well, to be honest, I haven't dealt with boredom for a very long time. No, seriously, yeah. I had a resolution earlier in life that resolved me of boredom. So it's not something I've dealt with for decades. So
that's great. I mean,
yeah, that's why I follow your channel on your retirement road trip, which is
I need to update that.
Good content.
Right.
Well, it's good content because you have that spirit of not being bored, of improving yourself, of learning. And I think that's why a lot of people really, love watching your content and hearing your testimony.
One of the secrets is I fell in love with reading at a very young age. There's a lot of, these aren't my books, we're somebody else's Airbnb, but
we'll have to check it out, see if there's something.
Reading is a very good remedy for boredom.
Now, as far as boredom in regard to the price movement, it's like we were talking about this earlier too. And it's like, for those that are new to Hex, like I actually had an onboard. It was really frustrating for me that got a hold of me maybe a week or two ago. I was like, what's going on with Hex? Is it done what it's going to do? Is it time to get out? And I'm like, Rick, he caught me at a bad time. I'm normally not this terse or curt with people or whatever the term is. I'm a little tired. I've had 2 hours of sleep, but that's 2 more than Maddie's had. So God bless him. But I'm like, hey man, I said, I'll buy whatever you got. I was just like not ready to hear whatever he was talking about because he had been in it for almost a year. And it's like, how have you not dug into this and understood like staking and, pulse chain and pulse X and all the other things that are on the cusp of happening. And, so, he and I were able to kind of work that out. And I explained to him, I said, this is not unusual. We go sideways. And even if you look back at the pulse sacrifice, we had a big pump at the beginning of the sacrifice and we went just consolidation. I mean, essentially it looks to me what it's doing now. And oddly enough, for the TA guys out there, if you look at it, you probably already got your charts drawn up. That consolidation triangle meets right at the end of the sacrifice, which is this, February 25th, I believe is the last day. And if you look at the pulse sacrifice, there was a pump in those last 3 days where there's that 1.75x on your sacrifice. You no longer get the volume bonus multiplier. I think it's exactly the same format as the pulse sacrifice, if I recall. So if you're following that, to me, I think we're really on the cusp of, moving toward a new all-time high. Maybe we don't follow that pattern exactly because we're still waiting on the launch of mainnet. So it could be a bit delayed, but I mean, I don't see us going much lower than we have recently. Not financial advice, but basically anytime I have available fiat, I buy, if it's 44 cents or 12.
Hex was built on the basis of stake it till you make it. So if you follow that and you know what it looks like to make it, the price is irrelevant. You stake it till you make it, and then, you get enough shares. It doesn't matter what the price is. It's that simple. It's just, you have to have that vision and you have to have a plan to get there, and you have to have the commitment and resolve to actually do it and not be distracted by price charts and FUD and rumors and just whatever other garbage is out there.
And exit strategies and all these other things where people get fearful. And that's what FUD brings to the fore, as people start thinking like, well, maybe it's time to diversify. Maybe it's time to get out of this and put some money into something else. And it's like, my experience has been that whenever the FUD is the worst and people start, taking some money off the table, if they've got some liquid or some stakes that are ending, down the line, they regret it because, every time that we've been through this, Hex goes on to meet new all-time highs. So the best way to protect yourself from that is if you got some liquid Hex, stake it. I just had some stakes that came out in the beginning of February. And I had a couple gaps in my ladder and I staked them out 6 and 7 years and filled those gaps. And it took the temptation away to get shaky paper hands and, maybe liquidate that on, the sideways action that can get boring and can get nerve wracking for people. So, but I'm rambling at this point.
I mean, so I have yearly stakes and that's painful at every step in the process. It was painful to create the stake. I felt physically sick when I sent so much money to my future self that my current self is like, come on, man, what are you doing? But I'm sticking to my plan. And, my formula is going to be different than other people's formula. But for me, I said, if I'm going to live 50 to 100 more years, then that means I can live off of 1 to 2% of my money. But at the same time, you're going to be transitioning from survival mindset, scarcity mindset, and then you're going to have to adjust. And a lot of people get, adjustment syndrome problems, adjustment disorder problems from changing their lifestyle, from not having to work and losing purpose, from wanting to create a business in crypto to make things more tangible, or to secure your social position within a company that you're starting. I think that there are really deep psychological reasons for whenever, whoever in society is getting, the money and the power, it's not always what's inside of a person that determines whether they are going to play positive sum games or negative sum games, whether they're going to be evil or good, we could say with their behavior. It's very much what is the game theory of their environment, of their people, places, and things. And in Hex, just like how we mint our own interest trustlessly, and we don't rely on the work of others, when we want the price to pump, we time lock and we onboard.
Yep.
That's what we do. And how we go about that, and when we try to master our emotions of fear and greed, then we're gonna, I think in the end, one of the cures for sudden wealth syndrome is, and it's gonna be different for everybody, but for me, I get a lot out of curing my boredom, curing my identity crisis, curing my search for meaning by having this volunteer mindset, by competing against other things that I find like worthy. So if you don't mind, I'll give you an example. I'm not sure if I've talked about this on stream yet or not, but whenever Steph and I had a chance to have some deep conversations when we went with Gary and Kareem to the Ukraine before there was all this political stuff going on there, I was surprised that Steph was relieved and happy that I had created something that competed with Staker app. And, I wouldn't even really give myself that much credit, but at the same time, I was studying his reaction to, I didn't expect him to have any reaction, but he deeply respected the fact that I created something that did not take a fee and was an alternative front end that used kind of a number of innovative strategies to onboard people, tshare.app. And so that's something that, I wouldn't have necessarily predicted, but it was very pleasant to find that somebody was, sticking to kind of the principles of not rebuilding the old system, and that by kind of working together, we were creating more value. It was more of a positive sum game, because in the end, we're pumping each other's bags, we're pumping our own bags, we're helping people discover how they can send money to their future selves and earn money in a system that pays you for delaying gratification. At the end of the day, we're all going to win, as long as we don't become that which we're trying to replace.
Right, exactly. And, and to that point, and kind of to circle back, I hate that term. I just said circle back, but to
hexagon back,
hexagon back, all six sides. To come back to where we were coming from before, and before anybody starts to speculate that, this is some sort of first peek at a company that we're trying to form or something of that nature, that is not at all what's happening. It's I know from, watching Twitter and stuff, that there's a large contingent of the community that's a little discouraged with, what they think the OG should and should not be doing. Now, I'm not gonna pass any judgment on any of that. And everyone has their own path that they want to forge, but we've all been very fortunate to do quite well with Hex and have been in at an early point. As I was just said earlier, continuing to invest, anytime I have the opportunity to do so. And, it's what gives me great pleasure is being able to give back to the community. It's I've never accepted a dime for anything that I've contributed. And, I'm happy to continue to do that. And as I have more time available and, now with talking with these guys, we've got some good ideas going forward that will be great resources for the community, free of charge to help, them tackle these various things that we had mentioned, whether it's, taxes or staking strategies or, game theory or mental health or any number of those things. So it'd be really nice to be able to collaborate with these guys and come up with something that, you can direct a new hexagon or an old hexagon to, because they're all similar problems we're having, whether it's, mental health stuff or physical stuff. I just came off a cleanse. Maddie was talking about working out. So I mean, there's all kinds of things. Maybe we do a cooking show. I don't know if you guys are good in the kitchen, but I mean, there could be any number of things that we could do to add value and like bring, useful things to the community, and with and kind of like pay forward, what we were given by Richard. He gave us this great opportunity with the products he's supplied. I'm absolutely a Richard Hart maximalist. It's like that's what I'm 100% invested in, is Richard Hart products. And, I think that's all you need. But on the backside of that, there are things that you need to prepare for: mental health, tax strategies, the normal stuff. So, hopefully we can provide some resources that can help everybody do that, and keep it simple for everyone, and also help with onboarding tools. And, what was the other, the direct marketing thing that Richard's been talking about, ways that we may be able to assist with that. We've got some cool ideas.
I mean, just like, for example, because we were all here excited to visit with each other and to talk about the day's events, we basically were able to talk through kind of some of the negativity that some people in the community seem to be feeling right now, and to kind of work through it, right? We remember times when the community was elated to be doing a 24-hour stream because we were all getting to interact with each other, even while the price of Hex was dumping.
Right.
How can you predict that? Most communities, they would have given up. They would have hidden or something. And for us, it shows as broadcasters that we are believing in things, but it's also, I like to think about, what is my relationship with my audience as a broadcaster? What are my responsibilities? How do we create checks and balances? Because I rely on my audience to keep me honest and to keep me accountable. For example, when I tweeted something that I became ashamed of because it was, it was spreading misinformation. I ended up going to Papa B to verify that I actually was in a car accident earlier that day, and to try to, restore some of the reputation that was so hard for me to build. And so I think as we see different leaders in the crypto space, everybody's trying something different. People are building things, and it's important to remember that, there's always going to be a difference of opinion, and the best that we can hope for is that we can all work together or compete with each other in a positive way to create positive sum games, not to be fighting with each other and creating negative sum games.
It's a scarcity mindset.
Well, right? I personally want to conclude my contribution to this live stream by basically agreeing with Maddie said about, in the end, we're all on the same team. We all want the same things. We're all representing the same product. And I believe that by just being open with each other and communicating, being honest, we can all work together to meet our individual and collective goals that we would like to do. Fix the money, fix the things that we see as being broken. And
I'm so hopeful, and I know we all need to go get food and sleep and stuff. Yeah. The reason why I'm so hopeful is because I do know devs in the community who are willing to build things and not take a fee, and not try to break Hex or the use case for time locking. And so it's really exciting to me that I see lots of examples of things that maybe I think are going to work, and maybe things that I don't think are going to work. But at the end of the day, who am I? I'm just somebody who's here trying to make sense of it all with you, trying to keep things mentally healthy for myself and for anyone else that I can help. And so that's really fulfilling to me when that's my goal. My goal is not to make the most amount of money possible at any expense. But that, maybe I'll do a special episode of how I worked through some skill building when it comes to fear and greed, because I think that those are really basic human emotions. Anyway, to conclude the other thread on direct marketing, I would love to let everybody out there know that I was able to get from another member of the community a full set of recreated Hex direct mailing letters. And so if anybody out there wants access to those letters, I'm happy to send it out. Maybe I'll be able to post it on the live stream here in the show notes on like a Google Sheet or something. And that way, anybody out there who is feeling inspired by the knowledge that we've learned from Richard today about the ROI that he sees on the direct mailing. I actually, my cousin, who didn't know anything about Hex, got a direct mailing. And so when I brought it up to him, he was like, yeah, I'll throw an ETH at it.
Yeah, right on. Cool.
So it's just so much opportunity, I think, for anybody out there who wants to be a leader in the community and lead for certain principles of positive sum games, of not taking a fee. There's going to be people who do it all different kinds of ways, and as a community, we'll get to see what works and what doesn't.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we're all Americans and live the American dream, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with people that are expecting to make some money for their efforts, and that's fine. I think we've just collectively come up with a different approach that we've been very blessed to come as far as we have with Hex, and that we are committed to giving back in a way that is free. And not to tip our hand further on the direct mailing thing, but we had some ideas about maybe gamifying that a little bit and making it kind of a fun competition of sorts. Am I saying too much, Maddie?
I mean, we were brainstorming and we were thinking how can we put all of the energy that people have in the community of wanting to build and innovate? And really, I think there is a desire to make the best thing possible. And when there's no competition and when we're all arguing over our personalities or our differences in ideas and understanding and everything, I just love when we can all come together, even when we disagree.
Right.
I love when we can, just be oozing positivity and, coming together and really, celebrating the fact that we have so much to be thankful for. And that was our ethos, even when all of us were down, when it was a 50% dip and we had never seen any profits in Hex. We had never seen, the price go up at all.
Right.
We had to, see what else was there to this community and to life other than just money, and how do we tie that all back together so that we can get the best of both worlds.
Right. And that speaks to just, how people, are people, and there's going to be, emotions involved. And it's nice to be able to rise above any kind of differences that you may have with one another. It's like Tim and I were at each other's throats. I'm just kidding. But he's the nicest freaking guy ever. But it's it's nice when, we can put aside differences and miscommunications and misunderstandings and focus on the positive, and not allow ourselves to get triggered and fight back with condescension or rudeness of any kind, and really just try to understand that everybody out there in the Hex community, everybody is that I'm aware of, and especially that are streamers out there, they're all trying their own method to try to move the community forward. So I don't want to diminish anybody else's efforts by any means, but I think we work together better. We're better together as a unified front, even if we're taking approaches to the same end goal from different angles and have different, business models, if so to speak. But I'm excited to see like what comes of this little powwow we've had, and what we can present to the community to do what I think a lot of people are expecting of the OGs that have been in and have had these gains, and the ways that we can give back, and a more direct way and a more focused way. Because I would love to see, like Richard was saying, like the direct marketing thing is not very sexy, right? And that's why a lot of people don't do that.
Really?
It's like, yeah, in his Twitter spaces, he was saying that today.
I think it's romantic to get a letter in the mail. Are you kidding me?
Are we going to hand sign them?
Some perfume on there, maybe.
But I would love to see us, collectively as a community, have a concerted effort to blanket the country with
pen pals.
Pen pals.
We should mash those together.
We could do that.
So you get a direct mailer, and it's like you can write back Joe Hexotic.
That would be cool. That could be cool. Are we volunteering, Joe, for all those?
It'd have to be more than just him.
Well, right. But that would be cool. And two, it's like, and you can be selective. Maybe
Gamify that.
Right. That would be cool. That would be cool. And then you could put like maybe one of like 100 letters would have that PO box or whatever, where you could write back to the OG that did the direct mailer. And like, then you would have a contact in some way where maybe, you shared their Telegram address, and then you have some communication directly with an old OG, and they can give you some insights one-on-one. Who knows? There's all kinds of stuff that could be really cool from that.
That's your referral bonus, is like getting credit, social credit for, and it doesn't have to be a coin. It doesn't have to be an NFT. It's just like, hey, I'm winning over here because I know I'm onboarding people. I know I'm making all these pen pals and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And Richard's always dropping these gems, like in that Twitter spaces today, he was talking about, like, we know where all the rich people live. Right. So, we brainstormed that a little bit and kind of came up with a plan where maybe, I'm probably sure some of you are already running with it, and that's fantastic. But with Maddie having,
it's not very specific. We don't really have a plan. We just
brainstorm it. Right. Yeah. But he's got the letters. So that's a start. Yes. And then we got a plan kind of sort of loosely that we were spitballing about how we can kind of, as a community, and maybe gamify it in some way to keep it exciting for everyone, and maybe have a ranking system of some sort. Who knows? We'll figure that out. But, some way to make it exciting so it's not just like licking envelopes, right? And then, there's a competition aspect to it in some regard. Like, I'm the guy that, was the top direct marketer in, 2022, or we have a 3-month window, and like, have some sort of feedback, with QR codes. There's all kinds of different ways when we work together, when we're brainstorming together and coming up with ideas. This has been super, super fun. And it's like, it just has got me inspired in a way I haven't been in a long time. So it's like, I want to thank Maddie and Tim for taking time with me. And it's like, I'm excited to see what comes to it. And, it's going to be fun, for everybody. Right. And it's like, if it's fun now, when we're like down and sideways for 6 months, imagine when it starts pumping. And then, we got the letter campaign going out, or whatever it is, that we can help facilitate. I think there's a lot of sunny days ahead, for Hexagons new and old.
Yeah. And I guess, like, in conclusion, this whole idea is that the more that we can use Hex as not just a financial technology, but as a mental health technology, as a community building technology. Yes. There's so many applications, just like any other technology. The first use case, it might have really good product market fit, but that doesn't mean that that's the only thing it can do. And so I'm just really excited to be, here with you guys, and we're going to go get some dinner and celebrate being in Daytona together. Yes. And
let me put one plug in for the convention, because if it does work out to where JJ gets another shot and it happens to be at the Vegas 400, is it a 400-mile race? I think something. That. But I think it's the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So, extend your stay in Vegas, come there a couple days early and go check all that stuff out that Motley's going to be, deep down in the pits again, having fun with all that. If that's the way that plays together, that's like a movie script. It's crazy, right? It's like, like the defeat of yesterday, not coming into the qualifiers, and then maybe being able to take it home, take the checkered flag in Vegas. That would be super fun, and all that energy and all those Hexagons there that would be participating in the Hex conference, and then also getting to experience that. I'm excited. It's like I was, I had my ticket already, but now I'm like even more excited about, the whole experience. So
can we hire JJ to hand deliver the direct mailers using the race car, because I bet you
That
could
would
do
be
it really
cool.
fast.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe we could do a video with him. Yeah, maybe if Motley could arrange that, that would be awesome. If you could just like handed one out the window to Molly or something.
Ooh.
We could come up with
All
a
right,
video.
we gotta
All
shut
right,
this
okay.
down.
Yeah, we got to go talk.
Go ahead and
Oh, yeah.
get your ticket to the Hex conference. I'm dropping the link. It's in the description below. You can go to hexpo.vegas or hexticket.com.
Yeah, and sorry guys, it's like I don't have my glasses on, and these lights are really bright. We kind of rigged something up in this Airbnb so we could be lit. But I see all the comments there, and we'll get back through them later. But it looks like we have some good engagement. So hopefully you enjoyed the stream. And Maddie, thanks again. This has been great.
Thanks everybody, and stake wisely, my
Oh wait,
friends.
and check this out. I didn't do this on purpose. I literally just pulled this out of my bag. Fuck your bad vibes, everybody. Let it go. And Butch Walker's awesome. It's a concert T-shirt.
That's right.
Maddie ALLin of HexTherapy.live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research. There's nothing that a human being could do better than try and heal his fellow man.
Thumbnail.